So folks, when the government starts losing control, like in a post-collapse situation or an emergency situation, the first thing that the government starts shutting down is the power, the grid, and then also the internet. And why do governments shut down the grid and the electricity and the internet? And it's because they want to try to control people in emergency situations. They want to suppress information and they want to control what information that you get. And the reason why they want to suppress information is they don't want people learning what the truth is, what's really happening, and they don't want people organizing against the government, and what they want is they want people dependent on the government. And I personally believe the way that this world is going is that even if the government never shuts off our electricity or our internet, then private companies will do that. These huge private companies that are owned by extreme leftists. For example, I think that sometime in the not too distant future that Microsoft Word will probably prohibit you from typing certain words when you're typing up a document, certain words that it will deem as being hateful speech or anti-science or whatever. I mean, if you think I'm full of malarkey, just look back just a few years ago that if you made a video that questioned certain things that was happening medically, then YouTube would demonetize your video and throttle your video and threaten to kick you off the platform. Which is just one of the reasons why I always suggest people to go over to a free speech platform like Rumble. You can find my channel over on rumble.com just by searching ethical preparedness in the search bar. And to continue on with either the government or big tech trying to control the narrative, trying to control the information, we only have to go back to the former administration, the former White House, where that administration was putting pressure on the big tech companies to throttle and demonetize any channel that was questioning if we should be wearing face masks and getting a whole bunch of the jabs and stuff like that. But here is what we can do as preppers to help combat that, to help combat of what's more than likely coming down the road for us. Something that I suggest, and so do other longtime preppers suggest also, and that is having a library of actually hard copy books. You see, the government and big tech can try to control the information, but what they cannot take away from you is your knowledge. So having a library made up of hard copy books that teaches you how to grow your own food, how to preserve your own food, how to purify water, how to build and fix things, how to take care of yourself medically, that is of utmost importance for those of us that want to take care of our families for when the world goes sideways and the government tries to control what information that we can receive. So when things do go sideways, don't get caught with your pants down and have yourself an actual library of books so that if you don't already know how to do a survival skill, you can at least learn it. Now the next part of this video is part going over some books that I think would be really good for you to have in a situation like that, and then also giving you some Christmas ideas for the prepper in your family or yourself. So the first physical book that I would have on hand if I were you is the book that I wrote. And don't click off just yet. We're going to go over some other books too. But the reason why I think this book is such an important part of your library, not just because I wrote it, but because this book teaches you how you can use the weeds around you to make your own homemade medicine. Let's just say that you have type 2 diabetes when the grid goes down and you just can't run down to the pharmacy. You just simply take this book, go over to the table of contents, find type 2 diabetes, then flip over to that page, and there you will find not only tips on how to manage your type 2 diabetes, but you will also find easy step-by-step directions on how to make your own medicine to manage your type 2 diabetes in a grid down situation, again, where you just can't run to the doctor or run to the pharmacy. And again, a great thing about a book like this is not only will it save your butt in a grid down situation, it also again makes a great Christmas gift. And also a thing about a book like this is kids love the hands-on learning activities that you can do with them with a book like this. learning how to find and identify the different plants that are used in this book, learning how to harvest those plants and how to make those medicines. Kids just love that kind of stuff. So if you have children of your own or grandchildren, again, great Christmas gift. And I will put a link to my book down below so you can check it out if you want to. And I think at this time it's 20 or 25 bucks. And then another book that I want to bring to your attention is called the Prepper's Cheat Book, Survival Details That You Forgot to Remember. And that is written by a friend of mine, Praxis Prepper. And this book is just absolutely filled with critical prepping and homesteading information that is just frequently needed. It covers everything from how to collect and purify water, to cleaning wounds so that you fight infection, to dealing with radiation, to foraging for wild edibles, and even how to build an underground shelter. So what I really like about this book is instead of having a whole bunch of different books that tell you how to do these different things, you have them all right here. And again, besides having a bunch of different great information that preppers need, having it all in one book, it also makes a great Christmas gift to either yourself or to that prepper in your family. And I will also put a link to that book down below, again in the description box. And then another book that I've really enjoyed is called The Backyard Homestead. And I do not know the author to this book, but it gives you just about everything that you need to know about raising animals, growing food, drying food, preserving herbs, and stuff like that. Again, just all in this one book. So if you've ever wanted to backyard homestead or would like to have the instructions, at least to how to do it, should things go sideways, again, great book. I don't remember where I got this book from, probably off Amazon because I've had it for so long, but again, just a ton of information, even how to butcher animals is in here. And then another absolute must book that I feel like every prepper should need would be the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving, and I got this in the hardback. This book has hundreds of different recipes for canning and preserving the food that you grow. And one of the things I like about this book is not only does it give you simple recipes, so like if you want to just preserve just tomatoes or just preserve some other type of vegetable, they have those recipes in here, how you can can and preserve that. But then they also have a lot of different recipes where different things are mixed together, like salsa would be one example, but other things like that. So there's just a ton of different recipes, and it gives you step-by-step directions on how you can can this food to preserve it so that your butt doesn't starve over the first winter time. And one of the things I suggest that if you are a serious prepper, besides having backups or stockpiles of these canning jars and lids, and then even the Tatler lids, is you also want to make sure that you have plenty of lemon juice and also sugar, because that's some of the main ingredients outside of the vegetables that you grow that's going to be involved in canning. And I like the Tatler lids because you can reuse them over and over and over again. Now, if you are wanting to build your own library, this is how I would build my library if I was starting all over again. And of course, I got a bunch of other books in my library too that I'm not going to drag all out here for the video, because then this video would turn into 2 hours long. But if I were just starting my library, the way I would build it is, the first thing I would do is I would take a serious look on how I was planning to take care of my family in a grid down situation. Then I would really kind of build my books off of that. But one of the first things that you're going to need to know is, how are you going to purify drinking water? And that's where Praxis' book covers something, covers topics like that. The next thing I would be wanting to do is want to know how you can grow your own food, which is where this Backyard Homestead book comes in. Another thing I'd want to know how to do is how to preserve my own food that I grow, which is where this Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving comes in. And then something that I am really weak in, which is I would want to make sure I have books on carpentry and then also construction. And then lastly, in a grid down situation, you will get sick or you will get an infected cut. And that's where my book on how to make your own medicine to take care of that stuff will save your butt. And again, there will be links down below to both the book that I wrote and the book that Praxis wrote. And now I would like to hear from you. What are your favorite books on survival? And I want you to comment down below with the name of the book that's your favorite book, and then why it's your favorite book. That way we can all learn from each other. And to see a whole playlist of how you can make your own medicines from the weeds that grow around you, I'm using the stuff from this book, but click on the video that should be appearing on the screen just about now to learn what most other preppers don't know. Anyways, folks, this is enough internet for me today. It is a gorgeous day out here, but folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.